Good afternoon. Welcome to the Asia Pacific 2022-2023 VEX New Season webinar. For this session, I will introduce the new VEX Robotics competition game Spin Up. First of all, I would like to share how VRC game is played. The VRC on-field game including head-to-head match and skills challenge match. For head-to-head match, the match time is 2 minutes. There are 2 alliances, one red and one blue, composed of 2 teams each, compete to each other. Robot Skills Challenge is just 1 team and the match time is 60 seconds. Besides, there are more options for VRC program, such as Judge the Award, which you will need to prepare engineering notebook and judge interview. Online challenges offers team more opportunities to showcase their work through a variety of online submission topics. Virtual skills allow all teams to experience the fun and excitement of competing while learning computer science. The VRC game is played on 12-foot by 12-foot field. Normally, the field won't change every season, just game element need to update. The head-to-head match has following key points. 2 alliances, one red and one blue, compete in a match, and 2 teams per alliance. For each match, there are 3 driver team members for a team, and 1 robot per team. The figure shows a match last season. There are 4 robots on the field from both alliances, and 6 students from red alliance, 3 per team. The match time is 2 minutes, which contain a 50-second autonomous period and a 1 minute and 45-second driver-controlled period. Teams in the same alliance will receive the same point for each match, except disqualification. Teams will be randomly assigned an alliance partner to compete against 2 randomly assigned opponents in each qualifying match. Team will be ranked based on the same number of qualifying matches. And the process is teams will play qualifying matches first. Then the higher ranking teams will select their fixed alliance partner for elimination matches. Then elimination matches will be played according to the elimination bracket. The qualifying match schedule will be available prior to opening ceremony on the day of competition. This schedule will indicate alliance partners and match pairings. It will also indicate the alliance's color, red or blue. For tournament with multiple fields, the schedule will also indicate which field the match will take place on. All teams in each qualifying match will receive win points, WP, autonomous points, AP, and strength of schedule point, SP. Team rankings are determined by the same number of qualification matches. WP is the first basis of ranking teams. Teams will receive from 0 to 3 WP for each qualification match. AP is the second basis of ranking teams. An alliance who wins the autonomous bonus during a qualification match earns 10 AP. In the event of a tie, both alliances will receive 5 AP. SP is the third basis of ranking teams. SP are equivalent to the score of the losing alliance in a qualification match. In the event of a tie, both alliances receive SP equal to the tie score. Before elimination matches, there is an alliance selection process for the higher ranking teams at the end of qualification matches to choose their permanent alliance partner for the elimination matches. After the alliance selection is finished, the elimination matches will be played according to elimination bracket. The number of alliances in elimination matches is decided by the event partner according to the event capacity and schedule. Elimination matches are a blend of best of 1 and best of 3. Depends on division setting and VEX World Championship spots allocation. Let's take a 1 division tournament that directly qualify teams to VEX World Championship, for example. Elimination matches before the finals are best of 1. Final matches are best of 3, which is 2 wins. Robot Skills Challenge is another way to play the VRC game, which has following key points. 1 team in each match, with 3 driver team members and 1 robot. 60-second match time, including driving skills matches, which will be entirely driver controlled, and programming skills matches, which will be autonomous. It is optional for an event, and is first come first served. No match schedule. Teams will be ranked based on the sum of their highest programming skill match score and the driving skills match score. Okay, now we know how VRC game is played. Let's see the game unveil video for the new season.
Welcome to the 2022-2023 VEX Robotics competition season, and this year's game, VRC Spin Up. VRC Spin Up is a head-to-head game that is played by 2 alliances, 1 red and 1 blue, made up of 2 teams each. The primary game objects in VRC Spin Up are yellow foam discs. Discs are 140 millimeters in diameter and 20 millimeters thick. There are 60 discs total in a spin-up match, 38 that start on the field, 2 preloads per robot, and 7 match loads per alliance. Discs can be scored in the 2 high goals, 1 per alliance, at opposite corners of the field. Each disc scored in a high goal is worth 5 points. However, robots that are aiming for the high goal had better be accurate, because underneath each high goal is a 1-point low goal for the opposing alliance. In addition to launching discs, robots can also spin the 4 rollers mounted to the field perimeter. Rollers are 250 millimeters long and 60 millimeters in diameter. If the area inside of a roller's pointers only shows 1 color, then that roller is considered owned by that alliance. Each owned roller is worth 10 points. Each match begins with a 15-second autonomous period, where robots operate without input from their drivers. In addition to competing for the autonomous bonus, each alliance also has the opportunity to earn an additional autonomous win point by owning both rollers on their side of the field and scoring at least 2 discs in their high goal. The 1-minute 45-second driver control period begins once the autonomous bonus winner has been determined. During the driver control period, robots can pick up discs from the ground or receive match load discs through the loader. As the clock winds down, it's time for the end game. At the end of the match, alliances will receive a 3-point bonus for each tile their robots are covering. So, during the last 10 seconds of the match, there are no horizontal expansion limits. VRC Spin Up can also be played in robot skills challenges where 1 team competes against the clock, the collegiate level VEX U competition where teams design 2 robots using advanced materials, and the VEX AI competition, a completely autonomous competition using industry-level machine learning technologies. Plus, there are remote options available for teams who want to compete from home. Check out the game manual or talk to your REC Foundation manager for all the details. Official rules and game information for VRC Spin Up can be found at roboticseducation.org or vexrobotics.com. To register a team, find events near you, or ask a question on the official Q&A, please visit robotevents.com. Best of luck and have a great season.
Welcome back. The VRC spin-up field consists of the following elements. The disc is a yellow foam object that can be used for scoring. There are 60 discs, 8 that begin as preloads, 4 per alliance, 14 matchload discs, 7 per alliance, 38 on the field at the beginning of a match. There are 4 rollers with cylinder shape, red and blue color, and can rotate, which are mounted on the field perimeter that can be owned to score points. Each roller has 2 pairs of pointers that, when viewed from above, indicate which alliance owns the roller. The high goal is a basket-shaped field element where robots can score discs. The color of the high goal indicates which alliance receives points for discs scored in that high goal. There are 2 high goals, 1 per alliance. 2 nets, one behind each high goal to keep the discs in the field, and 2 loaders, which are metal wraps, one in front of each alliance station, that can be used to introduce match load discs. We can refer to the field layout for the initial setup of discs and rollers. Next is game-specific definitions. Except the disc, roller, high goal, loader, and net we have talked about, there is autonomous line. It's a pair of white tape lines that run diagonally across the field. Logo, the green highlighted regions in the figure, where robots can score discs. The logo is defined as the space in each corner of the field directly beneath each high goal, bordered by white tape lines, the field perimeter, and barrier. The white tape lines and barriers are considered part of the logo, and the color of the barrier indicates which alliance receive points for discs scored in that logo. Alliance station is the yellow highlighted regions where the driver team members must remain for the duration of the match. Starting line, one of the 4 white tape lines, placed vertical to the field wall and used to determine robot starting locations. And one more important definition is endgame. That's the final 10 seconds of the match. Then scoring. Each disc scored in the high goal is worth 5 points. Each disc scored in the low goal is worth 1 point. Each owned roller is worth 10 points. Each covered field tile is worth 3 points. Winner of the autonomous bonus will receive 10 points. Next are important rules. First are scoring rules. SC2. A disc is considered scored in the high goal for the corresponding alliance color if it meets the following criteria. A. Not contacting a robot of the same color alliance as the high goal. B. Not contacting the green or black supporting structures underneath the high goal. C. At least partially contained within the vertical projection of the widest portion of the bottom basket of the high goal. Let's see the figures here. The first one shows the 3D volume in which discs are considered scored in the high goal. All the discs in the second figure would be considered scored in the high goal for the red alliance. In the last figure, disc A would be considered scored in the high goal. Disc B would not be considered scored because it is contacting one of the supporting structures underneath the high goal. SC3. A disc is considered scored in the logo for the alliance corresponding to the color of the adjacent barrier if it meets the following criteria. A. Not fully supported by a robot of the same color alliance as the logo. B. At least partially contained within the vertical projection of the logo. C. Not contacting any field tiles outside of the logo. D. Not contacting the net. E. Not contacting the high goal or any of the supporting structures underneath the high goal. Please note that discs which are scored in the high goal may not also count as being scored in the logo. In the figure here, the green highlighted discs B, D, E, F, G, and I are all considered scored in the logo. The red highlighted discs are not considered scored, because disc H is being fully supported by a robot of the same color alliance as the logo. Disc A, C, J, and K are contacting the green foam tiles outside of the logo. SC4. A roller is owned by an alliance if when viewed from above. The area between the roller's pointers is entirely that alliance's color. The first roller is owned by Blue Alliance. The second roller is not owned by any alliance. The third one is owned by Red Alliance, even though the boundary of the red and blue is right underneath the pointer. The owned status of roller can be changed anytime during the match. SC5. A field tile is considered covered if it is being contacted by a robot at the end of a match. A. A field tile may be covered by both alliances. B. Each alliance may only receive point for one cover per field tile, regardless of how many of their robots are contacting that field tile. C. The field tiles located in the logo do not count toward cover point. D. Covered field tiles are only count for point at the end of driver-controlled period. They are not scored at the end of the autonomous period. The two figures depict the same scenario. In the figure 1, the wheel of Blue Robot 1 are contacting 4 different tiles, and its horizontal expansion, highlighted in green, is contacting 1 additional tile. Blue Robot 2 is entirely within 1 tile that is already being contacted by Blue Robot 1, so the Blue Alliance would receive 15 points for covering 5 tiles. In the figure 2, Red Robot 1 is entirely within a single tile. The left wheels of Red Robot 2 are being lifted off the ground by the Blue Robot 1's horizontal extension, highlighted in green, and are not contacting any tiles. The rear right wheel of Red Robot 2 is contacting the same tile that Red Robot 1 is already covering. The front right wheel of Red Robot 2 is contacting 1 additional tile, so the Red Alliance would receive 6 points for covering 2 tiles. SC6. The autonomous bonus is awarded to the alliance who has scored the most roller and disc points at the end of the autonomous period. Besides, an autonomous win point is awarded to any alliance that owns 2 rollers and has scored at least 2 discs in the alliance-colored high goal at the end of the autonomous period. Covered field tiles are not included in the determination of the autonomous bonus. If the autonomous period ends in a tile, including a 0-0 tile, each alliance will receive an autonomous bonus of 5 points. Safety rules and general rules. Safety first during an event. S1. Robot operation or team action should be safe during the match. S2. Robot should stay inside the field. S3. Wear safety glasses to protect your eyes. Then, general game rules. G1. Treat everyone with respect. All teams are expected to conduct themselves in a respectful and professional manner while competing in VRC event. Teams, coaches, parents, and event staff should treat each other with respect. G2. VRC is a student-centered program. Some amount of adult teaching and guidance is expected and encouraged, but adults may never work on a robot without student on that team being present and actively participating. G3. Use common sense. When applying the rules in this manual, common sense always applies in the VEX Robotics competition. G4. Robots begin the match in the starting volume. At the beginning of a match, each robot must be smaller than a volume of 18-inch, long, wide, and tall. G5. Robots may not intentionally detach parts during the match or leave mechanisms on the field. G6. The robot must represent the skill level of the team. Each team must include driver team members, programmers, designers, and builders. No student may fulfill any of these roles for more than 1 VRC team in a given competition season. G11. All rules still apply in the autonomous period. Teams are responsible for the actions of their robot at all times, including the autonomous period. G12. VRC spin-up is intended to be an offensive and interactive game. Some incidental tipping, entanglement, and damage may occur as a part of normal gameplay without violation, but strategies aimed solely at the mentioned interaction of opposing robot are not allowed. G14. You can't force an opponent into a penalty. Intentional strategies that cause an opponent to break a rule are not allowed, and will not result in a violation for the opposing alliance. G15. No trapping for more than 5 seconds. A robot may not trap an opposing robot for more than 5 seconds during the driver control period. Please note that there is no penalty for trapping during the endgame. G16. Don't cap your robot to the field. G17. Use discs to play the game. Discs may not be used to accomplish actions that would be otherwise illegal if they were attempted by robot mechanisms. SG1. Starting a match. Prior to the start of each match, the robot must be placed such that it is A. Contacting at least one of the green foam field tiles adjacent to the field perimeter that are between a pair of starting lines on the alliance's side of the autonomous line. The red and blue highlighted area in the figure shows the field tiles that the robot needs to contact for the red and blue alliances. B. Not contacting any other green foam field tiles. C. Not contacting any discs other than the preloads. D. Not contacting another robot. E. Not contacting any field elements such as the barrier or the net. Contact with the field perimeter is permitted, but not required. F. Contacting no more than 2 preloads. G. Not contacting any green foam field tiles inside the logo. H. Within the required starting volume. SG2. Robots get 2 preload discs prior to the start of each match. SG3. Stay away from the net. Becoming entangled with the net will result in a disablement. It's an exception to G14, because entanglement with the net is a potential safety concern. A robot which becomes entangled must be disabled, regardless of who was at fault. SG4. Horizontal expansion is limited until the endgame. Robots may not expand beyond a horizontal area of 18 inches long and wide at any point during the match prior to the endgame. But there are no horizontal expansion limits during the final 10 seconds of the match, so teams can expand their robots during this period to cover as many field tiles as they can. SG5. Vertical expansion is limited. Robots may expand vertically within the following conditions. A. The robot must not be contacting the green field tiles in either logo. B. No part of the robot may exceed an overall height of 24 inches. The intent of this height limit is to prevent mechanisms from extending above the bottom half of the high goal, which is roughly 25 inches from the foam field tiles. The supporting structure of the high goal is roughly 18.5 inches in height. A robot that has not extended vertically should be able to drive under it without contacting it. C. Any extensions or combination of extensions above 18 inches must fit within a vertical cylinder 2 inches in diameter. The inner diameter of a roller is roughly 2 inches and can be used to check robot compliance with Part C. Let's see the examples in the two figures. In the figure 1, both robots for Red Alliance are in violation of SG5, because the left robot is contacting the field tiles in the red logo, and the height of the right robot is over 24 inches. In the figure 2, the blue robot is in the red logo, but its horizontal and vertical dimension is less than 18 inches, so it's in legal size. The height of the red robot is over 18 inches, but less than 24 inches. The extension can fit within a vertical cylinder 2 inches in diameter, and it is outside the red logo, so the red robot is in legal size too. SG6. Match load discs may be safely introduced during the match under certain conditions. Match load discs may only be introduced once the driver control period has begun by a driver team member, and their hands should never break the plane of the field perimeter. SG7. Robots may not have a greater than momentary possession of more than 3 discs at once. SG8. Don't cross the autonomous line. During the autonomous period, robots may not contact four tiles, discs, or rollers which are on the opposing alliance's side of the autonomous line. It is expected that discs which are launched as a part of normal autonomous gameplay will contact four tiles on the opponent's side of the field, and this is not a violation. However, holding a disc over the autonomous line to manipulate an opponent's roller would still considered a violation. The 14 discs which begin the match on the autonomous line are not considered to be on either side, and may be utilized by either alliance during the autonomous period. SG9. Keep discs in the field. Teams may not intentionally remove discs from the field. Discs that leave the field during match play will be returned to the field at the location nearest to the point at which they exited. Next are the key inspection rules. R1. 1 robot per team. R2. Robots must be a representation of the skill level of the team. This is also mentioned in the General Rules G6. Here is to emphasize that robot must be designed, built, and programmed by members of the team, not adults or members from other teams. R3. Robots must pass inspection before a match start. R4. Robots must be safe. R5. Robots must fit in a sizing box, that is a volume smaller than 18 inch long, wide, and tall. R6. Robots are built from the VEX V5 system. R14, 16, and 17 is the limitation of robot brain, motors, and pneumatics. Robots must only use 1 V5 robot brain, up to 8 V5 smart motors, and a maximum of 2 legal VEX pneumatic air reservoirs. R20. No modifications to electronic or pneumatic components are allowed. R25. Use the competition template for programming. Since the match includes both autonomous period and driver control period, teams must use a provided competition template or function equivalent to accomplish this and make sure the match plays smoothly. Now it's Robot Skills Challenge. The field setup for Skills Challenge is almost the same as head-to-head spin-up match. The only difference is that in programming skills matches, the VEX GPS code strip must be installed on the field, and the 6 preload discs for the other 3 teams are not used. RSC 1. Robots may start the Robot Skills match in any legal starting location for either alliance. All driver team members must begin the match in the alliance station which corresponds to the chosen robot starting location. Robots must meet all the criteria listed in Rule SG1. The team gets 2 preloads that must be used in accordance with Rule SG2. If team wishes to use the preloads as match load discs, they may be ended to either alliance station. The 6 discs that would be used as preload by other teams in a head-to-head match are not used, and all rollers on the field start on blue. RSC 2. The team may utilize 14 match load discs within the guidelines set forth by SG6. 7 match load discs begin the match in each alliance station, just as in a head-to-head match. Match load discs must be introduced from the alliance station in which they begin the match. At any point during the match, 1 driver team member is permitted to move between the 2 alliance stations for the purpose of introducing match load discs. There may never be more than 1 driver team member outside of the alliance station in which the team begin the match. RSC 3. In Robot Skills matches, team plays as if they are on neutral alliance. Robots may freely move on the field, utilize any loader, score in any goal, and manipulate any roller. RSC-4. Robots must have moved during the match in order to receive points for covering field tiles. RSC-5. Rollers are considered owned if they are read up at the end of the match. A team score at the end of a robot skills match is calculated by combining the scores that would have been awarded to the red and blue alliances. For example, all discs that end the match in either high goal are worth 5 points each, regardless of which side of the field the robot starts on. Next, I would like to introduce VEX U program. VEX U is for college team and uses the VRC spin-up field with no modifications. Instead of a 2 teams alliance format, VEX U match will be played 1 vs 1. Each team will use 2 robots in a match. The qualification and elimination matches will be conducted in the same manner as in a VRC tournament, but in 1 vs 1 format, without an alliance selection. The autonomous period at the beginning of each head-to-head match will be 45 seconds, and the drive control period is shortened to 75 seconds. Teams must build 2 robots. At the start of the match, one must be smaller than 18-inch long, wide, and tall. The other one must be smaller than 15-inch long, wide, and tall. Teams may use any official VEX Robotics product, other than the exceptions in this rule, to build their robot. This includes those from the VEX Pro, V5, EXP, IQ, and Go product lines. Fabricated parts are allowed for VEX U and may be made using the process of ending, removing, bending, casting, or molding material, or attaching materials to one another. But fabricated parts must be made from raw materials. Teams may use commercially available springs and fastener on their robots. Each robot must utilize exactly one V5 robot brain microcontroller and exactly one V5 robot radio connected to a V5 controller. There is no restriction on the number of V5 smart motors that robots may use, and no restriction on sensors and other additional electronics that robots may use for sensing and processing, other than the exceptions in this rule. No radio communication is allowed between robots. However, other non-radio forms of communication are permitted. At last, teams may utilize an unlimited amount of the listed commercially available pneumatic components. Robot Skills Challenge for VEX U. The only difference is that VEX U teams are permitted to use both their robots in skills matches, and each robot must use its 2 discs available as preloads, or add them to the team's match load discs. Both robots must start on the same side of the field, and all driver team members must stand in the corresponding alliance station. Okay, my introduction is come to an end. For more information of VEX competition, please contact us by the email address here. Thank you very much.